I always think it's important to have a surrogate for somebody who doesn't know anything, so that person can ask the question that, like, you know, maybe without the privilege of reading which is usually me because I'm very lazy. So
you don't really read or do too much research.
No, yeah, I do very little.
You do all the technical stuff.
Yeah, I just ride. I'm just here for the ride, and then Patrick and Nathan do all the work, and
I don't do any work. What are you talking about?
I take credit. So
yeah, technically KJ does the most work of them. But now
anymore,
that's slowly transitioning over to me.
You're listening to the Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. This is episode 60-something. It's been a long time since we've done episode numbers. But, you know, that's just how we're rolling. I am present with the captain of the show, Nathan Nowak, and the dictator of the podcast, Patrick Armstrong. Hello, fellas.
Ahoy.
Hello. Welcome to...
No, Nathan, you don't have to be in your head about it. You just be you, and you'll just naturally fall into that cadence.
Welcome to Flight 63 here on the Janchi Show.
Close, 64.
64. Oh.
We don't do episode numbers anymore.
Flight numbers.
Flight number 64. Coming into Denver.
Yeah, so we are the Janchi Show, where we talk about our identities, shared and not shared, as Koreans, Americans, adoptees, and beyond. Janchi means to feast or to celebrate. And I decided just to keep it all in-house because, you know, I was like, what? I was like, if I throw to Patrick, he's going to take a long time. And then I feel like Nathan does it all the time.
I do. Take a long time. I was going to pilot it. Feast or celebrate. I like that.
It is what it is. That's actually, that's pretty close to the textbook
literally
definition.
Define it.
It is.
I think we should probably start doing that.
To feast or to celebrate. I mean, whatever. So we're just here to celebrate, have a good time. It is still National Adoption Awareness Month, or NAM, as you might see on the gram or the book or the Twitter nest.
Oh,
is that what we call? Yeah. That's literally your abbreviation. And I was like, what are you talking about? The Bible?
Oh, the book?
Yeah.
I said that?
Yeah, you did.
Dang it.
It's fine. It's an off-air conversation. So
no proof.
I have been doing the least amount of work for thinking about this month as National Adoption Awareness Month. But Nathan and Patrick, you've both been doing stuff. Nathan, the gram has been showing me like all of your posts, and Patrick, your posts are like 4 down on my feed. But at that point, I'm done.
Yeah, I've been posting pretty early in the morning. So
well, it's not even that. It's just like the way that I do social media is I look at like the first 3 things, the first 3 stories, first 3 posts, and then I'm like, I need to go live my life now. So I usually, if it appears in the first 3, then I might see it. And if it doesn't,
I'm just coming in right under the cut.
You're going like the Google rank. Your guy
like
Google
right
SEO style.
I start to see Patrick Armstrong, and you're like, nah, I'm done now.
I'm taking over. Sorry, Patrick.
That's all right. You're up in the top 3. That's cool. This is a new MySpace. KJ's top 3.
3, yeah.
Nathan's consistently there. I am lucky if I even get to 4th. So,
yeah. But Nathan, you were just talking to me off air, that the social calendar. I've been wondering this. I was like, where does everyone get? Like, how are they all coordinating about what to post? But you said someone had actually put out a thing about what to post for the month.
Yeah, was it Mindy Choi?
Yeah.
So yeah, she. I don't know. I have not discussed completely about where the prompts came for, but there was a little calendar, I guess you could say, from 1 to 30, and it had some ideas of what to post. Not everybody is going by it. Some people are going just on their own, schedules and what they feel they should post each day, or when they're feeling like they want to post, and that's cool too. So yeah, it's just been something that I've seen. It helps me, even though I'm learning a few things like terminology wise on it that I didn't know about. For example, like tomorrow is Ghost Kingdom. Yeah, sorry, that's my baby.
Is that what the ghost?
That's the ghost of the Ghost Kingdom. Yeah. So she's my ghost. So I didn't know that. Have you guys heard of that term, Ghost Kingdom?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I couldn't define it. So go ahead and
So it says
enlighten me.
Enlighten you. And again, this is what Nom's for, right? And learning.
Enlighten you.
Enlighten you. Learning or singing. So yeah, it talks about an imaginary family as a transracial adoptee or transnational adoptee would create for themselves, like what their family's doing or what they what their names are, it's just essentially this imaginary family that some create. I've never had really that many imaginary friends as a child, but did you guys do any imaginary things or something like that?
I mean, I definitely did imaginary basketball situations, and then pictured myself as Michael Jordan.
Where you're jumping from half court,
like
and then
Larry
your arm
Johnson.
stretches to try to dunk, and then like a bunch of monstars try to grab you, and you're like, no.
I mean, actually, kind of, I guess. Similar situations, but more based in reality than space basketball.
Like Bill Murray still shows up, but it's not
he
cartoons.
Still shows up, plays just in the second half, retires immediately afterwards.
How did you get down here? I don't know. The producers wanted me here.
That is hilarious. Oh, okay, this is an off-air conversation. That's so funny. Oh man, that's funny. What were we talking about?
Imaginary friends and family. Yes.
Yeah. No, only really like that, I guess. I don't know. My imagination was more stimulated by like exterior content more than interior thought. Mm-hmm. I think as a kid growing up, I just took in a lot of like Saturday morning cartoons because we didn't have regular cable. We just had like base antenna. So I had like 4 channels, not a lot to watch. And then
PBS.
At the tail end of high school, like the summer before my senior year, I got really into comic books. And that like started that whole journey. And so I think honestly, like comic books really formulated a lot of like where my imagination kind of builds from now. And then like really helped me like hone in and focus in on what it means to be creative, I guess. And then start to kind of do that stuff when I got into college finally.
Huh.
But as far as imaginary, not a whole lot.
All right. Yeah. For me, I was actually just talking to Sarah about this for something we'll probably get into a little bit later. But like, I think specifically as it relates to, maybe this is what the Ghost Kingdom is, specifically as it relates to adoption, I'd always find myself wondering what my life would be like, but I don't know that I thought, I didn't like write whole narratives in my mind or didn't have like, and I have a terrible like visual imagination anyways. So it was all just like ghosty figures and like ethereal, wispy, whatever outlines and shapes and cloud people. But you know what I mean? Like they don't really have shape. They all just look like ghastly, you know?
I gotcha.
Yeah. So I would think about, I wonder what my life is like, but nothing really concrete and nothing for long. Like I wouldn't like create a whole narrative for myself or imagine like me interacting with my parents or my siblings if I had any of that kind of stuff. I was just like, I wonder. I think for a while I was like, yeah, this would be me walking down a street in Korea, but like in my head it was like a ghastly Chicago basically, or whatever. So whatever, it's fine. I don't know what cities are.
Yeah, I never imagined myself in Korea or being anywhere other than where I was. I guess all of my imagination was like picturing myself differently, like just myself, and nothing about my surroundings was different. I would ever imagine. Just me.
Oh, so like just you were a star basketball
I was
player.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sir.
Yeah. You were Michael Jordan, but otherwise you were the same.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Or like you were Tiger Woods, but otherwise you were the same.
Exactly.
Pro golfer. Yeah.
Completely like that. Almost 100% exactly that example.
Sure.
But yeah, just I think that was the thing. I never imagined my surroundings to be different. I always imagined myself like I wish that I was different for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, that was, like I said, it was a term I'd never heard. And so I looked it up and yeah, I didn't do any of that myself either. So, but there are probably people who have. So it's just been interesting, like I said, going through each day of the schedule, just kind of reading about each topic. There's some topics that will apply to me and then I might write on and others that I won't. So I probably won't write too much about the Ghost Kingdom specifically tomorrow. So I might just go off script and, write about something else. But I have been enjoying sharing photos and stuff of just, my Korean family or reunions or things that I think about, especially this month.
Yeah, I commented on your post today, which this is day 5. Is that the one? because, and I said I was going to hype you up on the show. So here's me doing that.
Hype it up.
I'll say I've been really like proud of you in a weird way. Like, I guess proud and however you can feel for like a brotherly figure, and just seeing you every day sharing a new thing and like really leaning into the prompts and whatever the case is, but just putting your story out there in a way that you kind of have a little bit as we've went through the show, you know, and as we've gone through this journey. But to see you, it's been really awesome. I've loved it, and I wasn't expecting you to just be on every day. And you even mentioned that in this one. You're like, I didn't set out to write every day, but here I am. And I think that's really awesome, and I think it's really indicative. Like, you're a really good example of how different this year is, my second Adoptee Awareness Month versus last year doing it for the first time. Because even last year, and I think I said this last week, there were adoptees doing this and like definitely a large presence. But I think this year it's like there's so many people, and maybe that's the algorithm a little bit, you know, after a year of me looking through stuff. But I do feel like there are so many people sharing for the very first time. Like when you get into some of these introductions, you're like, okay. And then you look at their Instagram or their profile. It's like they haven't shared a whole lot. And this is like the first time this is a step. And then seeing other people just continue like you have to continue down the path and continue to share more openly and more vulnerably. I just think it's been absolutely incredible. And I just wanted to commend you for doing that, because it's not easy. It's definitely not easy to just wade back into all of these things that we talk about every week with other people, you know, and then feeling like now I have to dredge up my stuff. You know, I just think it's been awesome watching you share. And thank you for sharing with us.
Well, thank you for saying that. I have enjoyed, like I said last week when you asked me, I have enjoyed looking at everyone else's posts as well, and I think that's inspired me some to share more of my story for the people who haven't read anything or watched episode 1 of our show or anything like that. So it was kind of I've been learning and just trying to find time to do it. I'm sure I've probably spent a little bit too much time doing it. So thank you, Allison, for letting me do these little Instagram posts. But
I like the way you've been adding resources into. I think that's really cool, because not everybody does that. I don't always do that. And I like that you've kind of stuck to that theme of sharing and then being like, here's where I've learned, or here's another place. And KJ will love that you've plugged the show. Because I don't ever do that, and I'm really terrible at plugging the show.
Yeah, I plugged my own show. I was like, I'm just gonna tag this in here too. Sure, why not? But
literally all I do is plug the show.
Somebody needs to.
One time in my story, I said, "This is what I'm doing." So it's not even evergreen content. I was just like, you can go listen to the show.
It works.
Well, I like it how you're, a lot of the posts that are happening around where people talk about, what adoptees are you listening to? What inspires you? And sometimes, some of our followers tag us in there, and I was like, oh, look, there's the Janchi Show. And then right below it, or 2 down from it, is Patrick in the World. So you're technically getting,
it's great.
You're getting double the publicity there. So you're doing something right, too.
I do appreciate the double pub. The dub pub is what I like to call it. That is really cool. I mean, it's really cool, though. Yeah, but I think that's something different last year, too. I feel like in the resource category, there was Adapted, there was Angela Tucker's podcast, Adopted Fields and Adoptees On. And now I feel like you're seeing podcast lists go around. It's like twice the size. So 8 may not seem like that many, but that is a lot of adoptee.
I mean, 200% growth is still pretty, significant.
Is that what that is? I'm not good at numbers.
I mean, if it's 4 to 8, yeah.
Okay.
And like you said, though, you see a lot of new accounts, like a lot of new Instagram accounts where they only have 9 or 10 posts, and but they're going strong with what they're talking about, and it's all good content. So, I mean, my stuff's like, if you go back, I got like in the 400s of posts, but if you go way back to my first post, is just pictures of my cat or things like that. So it's
I'll be honest, I've never scrolled back to the beginning of your Instagram. Now I
you probably don't want to.
I mean, the beginning of my Instagram is still me in high school, so it's just like deeply high school.
That I think I did scroll back to see. So. There's a photo of you and Sarah, I believe, that I really liked.
That's funny.
It's funny,
but. Well, what about, so what are you guys up to? I mean, what else are you doing? have you? Let's see. This is we're going to have this on the next week, so it's the second week of November. Are you looking forward to the rest of the month, like Thanksgiving? I know. Last time you asked us that,
are you pivoting off of?
Yeah, I don't. I was like, Nathan is like pad for time.
I mean, if you're asking me what I'm looking forward to, still, so we have just. This is when this episode is coming out. We will have just had our adoptee reclamation panel, and I already know that went incredible. Very excited to have been able to do that. And thanking all of the panelists and everybody that joined in the audience. I'm not going to list everyone here.
You can't thank everyone.
List all of the future audience members.
You're messing with the timeline now. This is like
I'm trying to appropriately walk along the timeline by placing myself.
Yeah,
in different
I'm not trying to get the TVA on his back.
I know, right? So what? I mean, about this reclamation event, what inspired you and Katie to do this? How did this come about?
So we were probably like 2 months ago, we were talking and she asked me if I wanted to do something for NAM, and I said yeah. And we knew we wanted to do a panel of some sort where we were able to pay the panelists and whoever, and we would raise money for something. And she came back with the idea of reclamation, and instantly I liked it because, I think reclamation is like a really foundational thing that's really hard to pin down when you're first like going through. Because like, what does that mean? Because it can mean a lot of different things for different individuals. But I also think it carries like a collective weight. Like it means something for the community too. So I thought that would be really cool to explore. And Katie, obviously, all props to her for coming up with the idea. She's the idea person, and I am just there as another body. But
you're the loudmouth.
Who just
shouts the idea from the top of the hills.
Exactly.
I'm like, where did he get a hill to stand on? I'm like, I brought my own hill.
Yeah. How did he move that hill here?
Is he Jesus?
But when we had the idea, or when we got that idea down, we went to work putting together a list of people we would like to have on a panel. And I think we each came to the table with like at least 10 people. And I think almost all of them kind of lined up at the front end. And so everybody that we wanted to get, we were able to get on. And since we're both CADs, we really wanted to make sure that we were not making it overly Korean or East Asian adopted peoples on the panel. So we have Cam Lee Small, he's on there, and Ferrer Swan. And then we have Hannah Jackson Matthews. We have Laura Summers, and we have Chris Rao, Indian Adoptee.
Past tense.
Yeah. And had. If you just pop those in there.
Nope.
And we had Kay Leonard. And yeah, so that actually works because I was telling the story from the past tense we were coming up, and we wanted to have these people on. Wait, does that work? I don't know. Now I'm lost in the timeline. You've made me divert off the path. I've now deviated. I'm a variant. And anyways, that was a huge ramble. I was just trying to name the people off there, so maybe cut all of that out.
Nope. Staying in.
Anyways, just wanted to talk about like what that means to each of these people in the different intersections of the adoptee community. So all the different places that we come from. Wanted to find out, what does reclamation mean to you in the midst of all the intersection, and what does it mean for us as a community from all these different perspectives? So it was really great. And I am really, really humbled to have been able to be a part of that. We raised a decent amount of money, and we were able to donate that to Adoptees Connect. Yeah, so glad that we were able to do that. Thanks. Shout out to Katie. Been an amazing addition to the show and an amazing person overall to just come up with these things. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm curious. That was kind of one of my questions as y'all think about National Adoption Awareness Month, and have existed on social media more than I have, if not only just to post your own stuff, but I think to be a part of the community is what other non-transracial, non-international, non-Asian adoptee voices have you heard talk about this, and how has that or has it shaped, Nathan, I think I was especially looking at you, but has that shaped like how you think about your own story or how you think about the broader adoption community?
I wouldn't say I haven't thought too much about it, other than the fact that, when we talked about it briefly last week, is that it's hard sometimes because we are, Korean adoptees, that I narrow and hone in on just Korean adoption.
Mhm.
And, I think about it in terms of that. I mean, granted, we have, 200,000 strong across the world, but there are 2 million adoptees. So there's domestic adoptees, adoptees from all areas. And I even looked into, because that was one of the prompts during NAM, was the history of adoption. And they said it went all the way back into like the Roman Empire or something like that. So, I mean, there's been, adoption for a very long time. It's not just, Korean adoption. But so for me, and I know other people who have, adopted domestically, and, even some other family members, but yeah, so I try to think of it now, I guess, especially this month, in a broader sense. So it's adoption for all, all categories. And then that's why I was also mentioning last time that it's not just adoptees. I think about the families, like my biological family who we, I still keep in touch with, but they all have, I'm sure, their thoughts on adoption, and then of course the the adoptive parents and everything, and their thoughts on adoption. So it's interesting. I think there needs to be a connection for all those parts.
I think that's why it's like, that's what comes back to, or like what reclamation was such a thing that we wanted to talk about this year. Because, when I first started in this identity search, it was very much about like my ethnic identity, as well as my identity as an adoptee. So naturally, it's you gravitate towards other Korean adoptees, and like that was all that I was ever focused on. Even when we started this podcast, we started it for Korean adoptees by Korean adoptees, and that was like the whole impetus, and that was all my focus was for a really long time. And then we get into 2021 and Clubhouse and everything, and I'm working with Michaela a lot, Michaela Guestford, and we are a Chinese adoptee, and so starting to broaden my horizons in the sense of a Pan-Asian sense of people who are affected by adoptees. But I was following, so early on, I started to follow one of the people we had on the panel, Hannah Jackson Matthews. Her account name was Hey TRA, which is not, and it was all one word, and so people would always mispronounce it like Hatra, but it's like Hey transracial adoptee. And she's a Black adoptee and talks just really openly and really vulnerably, not only about her experience, but just about the system of adoption and everything like that. And it was very eye-opening. It was extremely eye-opening to think about adoption from a different standpoint than just my own ethnicity, because that's all I was thinking about. And so from there are definitely a lot of voices out there, like the Black Adoptee, which is a really great account. Adoptee to Adoption Worker is another one that I follow that has a lot of really incredible things, or they post a lot of really incredible resources and just things to think about. I think that's the other side of what we talk about, is these adoptees, adult adoptees across the board are just saying things that prompt discussion. And it's these types of statements that aren't talked about widely when it comes to people talking about adoption. Just like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just drawing a blank right now, but I really
That's okay. Yeah. I think it's important. Like, that's the thing that I've been thinking about is, so I was listening to this podcast that was talking about the Christian gays and how they were talking about like the gay community and the queer community and history of the queer community in America, and how some of them, whatever, a bunch of things, right? But how that community often uses the language of Christianity, even though so many in the community aren't practicing Christians or whatever. And so just like kind of the mythological shared dictionary of Americans. And so like thinking about that, and essentially when white America starts to care about gay people who've died. And then, Liz Kleinrock just announced that she is going to be part of a book publishing that says it's called, Every Day is a Holiday and Decentering Christmas, and like white America's holiday season from like the reality of America. And so just like thinking about all of this decentering, it's just made me think about, what do I need to decenter from my own experience? Like, I think it's great, obviously, that we're doing all this work, that we have this podcast. And hopefully, one of the things that I think for me that I've really shifted into is, how does this podcast give language to other people? But beyond that, it's like, to what end? Like if we get a bunch of language and we become more eloquent, or at the very least more able to properly express ourselves, to what end? And so just thinking about all these things and thinking about Nam, like I realized that I have not, mostly because I don't spend enough time on Instagram, but like I've not done a ton of work diversifying my feed, quote unquote. Like it's gone from mostly white Christians to mostly Asian adoptees that I see. But like it's just one homogeneity for another homogeneity. So, it's not like it's more diverse. It's just a different type of the same. So, right. So just thinking about, to what end do we do all of this? And it's been interesting for me. I tweeted today, because I honestly, was going to do that thing, which I find mildly annoying, but I kind of get it, where like somebody tweets and they screenshot it and then post it on Instagram. I did that once as a joke, but so I don't want to belittle the joke by actually doing it seriously. But
I'm going to go do it then. I'm going to screen capture your tweet and then post it, because that's
sure.
I see that more often, is other people screen capturing other people's tweets instead of just retweeting the tweet.
Yeah, well, because you got to move it to a new platform. Yeah. So I don't know. Like it's just been such a weird time for me, and so I'm just gonna talk a little bit about it, because I was also thinking today, I was like, I wish that there was a medium where I could just say my thoughts and then people could listen to it asynchronously. And then I was like, oh, that's a podcast. The Janchi Show coming out, not this week, but the next week. Yeah, there's another. Well, so I thought that I had misplaced my microphone cable, but it turns out I found it. So it's going to get delayed another week, but eventually an episode of the Janchi Show will drop. Until then, welcome to the Janchi Show, where KJ rambles a little bit about his thoughts. My experience with the month has been interesting, because I know like how I interact with the community. I know that it's very minimal, and I love meeting people and supporting what they are doing, who are doing great work, whether that's Patrick or Katie or Xiaoling or whomever. Just thinking about some like different accounts. Nathan, I love being able to support you, exactly, and reading that stuff.
Just add that in.
I just want, thanks. Yeah. Nathan furiously pointed to himself. He was like, please don't forget about me.
And then I just did it for some reason.
Don't.
See, it was because Patrick got commented on twice again.
So yeah, just thinking about that. I don't know. I've been forced to think about my adoption, and so it's interesting, Patrick, that your and Katie's thing, y'all's thing, is on reclamation, because for me this month, I've already been forced into what I've lost, and already been forced to reckon with like the things that have to be reclaimed because they were taken away from me, because they were, whatever. Like, so even like before reclamation, I was like, oh shoot, some things have happened to me that I haven't thought about. And so going back to, earlier when I would imagine myself in Korea, or living a different life, like now, yesterday, really, I just am grieving that. And like and it was actually, again, just for the incredible vulnerability of like seeing like Hannah Lee's post and then Nathan reading your posts, and Katie, she was like, I'm taking a break from talking about adoptee stuff so I can do my Dear Mom series. And I haven't read much of that, but I read it. And it was so like, I think vulnerability after vulnerability after vulnerability really got to me. And it was early in the morning, and that just like made me really sad. And I think forced me into grief in a way that was unexpected. So I was just like, man, I need to deal with this, but I also need to like go and be an adult. And I didn't know how to do that. Like good news, quote unquote. I guess the silver lining of it is I'm writing another song. Nice. And it starts in Korean, which I think is really fun and interesting. It's another sad boy tune, because that's all I write. But So yeah, like that's been my whole process, is really coming at this month with my arms extended. Like I want to keep things at an arm's length because I don't have the time and space to really dig into that. And so it's a hard line for me to walk, supporting my friends, trying to be there for at least some of the community, thinking broadly about how do I decenter Koreanness from the broad adoption space, thinking about what the Christian gaze means for adoption, all those things. And then, yeah, I don't know. So that's where I'm at. That's what I've been thinking about and been wrestling with.
Yeah, but I think that's totally okay. I think you describe it very accurately when you say that it's kind of like you're being forced into like dealing with all of this because you can't go onto your, because we do what we do with the show, and you can't go onto Instagram or Twitter and not see a bunch of people talking about it. It's like you can't really escape it unless you just completely disconnect. And so I totally get coming to this at an arm's length because it's just being vulnerable and then continuing to do that is really, really draining. And even just seeing other people do that and then kind of internalizing that a little bit, I think it's tough. It's really difficult. I think something that I was not expecting coming into this month to write pieces on the first 3 days. And I did because I was sharing 2 different stories that I had not really ever shared before, not even here on the show. And it just felt kind of like the right moment to share that. But then, other stuff is happening outside of this world is happening. Life is happening. And now I'm like wanting to put my arms up. And I actually this morning, like 6, posted a story. It was like, I'm getting off of Instagram for 2 days. I'm just taking a short break because I was just like, the past couple days for me have just been just wild in my mind and where I'm at mentally. And I thought I posted it, and I deleted Instagram. And then I was like, I got to check this thing. So I got back on Instagram and the story wasn't there. So I somehow I deleted it or never posted it. And so it kind of like drew me back in. And it was that led me to post what I'm talking about today, which was like, prompt was about trauma. And it's like, be kind to yourself, adoptees, when you're dealing with this, whether it is you're sharing or whether it is you're experiencing it and you're taking it in, because it's so much. And I think we put a lot of stock in NAM because it's like everybody who has insert marginalized person here or marginalized people here, their month, it's like, yes, we have this and we need to like buck up and do all of the things that we can to celebrate. And as we should, but also like, let's just do it whenever, all throughout the year. Let's not worry about always leaving it till November, And I think that's what you're doing and how you're approaching it is totally okay. And it's amazing because people do feel like they're thrust into it and they have to contribute and they have to put stuff out. And I think it's a testament to, knowing how you want to approach it, that you're able to kind of keep that arm up and to balance that and to even be aware that you have to, walk that line because you're coming on here every week to record a podcast about adoption. So you really don't get to say no at the end of the day, even though you can totally say no and we'd be all right. But, at the end of the day, you're always taken into it. And so for you to just be able to say,
Janchi Show,
I got to figure it out on my own. That's totally fine. So, yeah.
And I also said that in my post today is, if people need to unplug and, what Patrick is saying, I think that is definitely okay. And I think more people should do it. I think we should take timeouts and kind of regulate the amount of time that we spend on social media. And on months like this where people are posting specifically today too, is, like you said, trauma prompt today. So there's going to be a lot of stories of trauma. It's tough. Reading all of that over and over again from multiple people, that can be overwhelming for sure. So
I think the difficult part of that is like, I want to honor what people are posting by taking the time to read it and engaging with it. And you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and I actually appreciate this about Katie. A couple of times we've met in person, she was like, basically, as soon as she feels like she's vibing with someone, she's like, hey, give me your number. Let's take this off of Instagram. And I like, for me, like the only ways that I've really interacted with the adoptee community have been on Instagram and on Clubhouse. I'm not really on Clubhouse anymore, and I'm barely on Instagram just personally because that's a carryover from how I live my life pre all of this, right? So when I don't have that, then I also am removed from that community. And so I think that that's part of like, I want to be able to, I've gotten over it with Patrick because he posts so much. I'm just like, whatever. Like, I support you. We're doing a thing. I'll support you other
I'm
ways,
coming
right?
in
But, like,
fourth, so you're not even seeing it.
yeah, it's fine. So, but it, like, you know, there are people like you just said Michaela's name. It's like, oh, I haven't chatted with her in a while. But like, also, like, it's just like, you know, that's one of those things of my life. So it's hard to, the part that I wrestle with is like, how do I interact with this community and protect myself when that community only exists on the interwebs and specifically only on this one social media platform or two social media platforms, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's weird to like be able to do that and then like not. Yeah, I don't know. Like that whole balancing act is rough.
But you don't. You sometimes do personal or DMs and stuff, right? Or direct text messages.
No, I don't have anyone's number besides like y'all and Katie, and
okay.
just like jumping straight into the DMs as of nothing is just like, it's like a weird internet. That's like kind of a cultural no. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
So
I think that's the beautiful thing about the community. This community in particular that I find myself in, the adoptee one, whether it's Korean adoptees, but especially just the wider adoptee community, is that if you feel like, you know, like this is like, so for me, I'm kind of in the same spot as you. Like most of my engagement is on social media. Like that's how I'm engaging with a lot of adoptees. And if you were to say, I can't engage with anyone right now, I gotta just work on me, and maybe I won't come back for a long time. I think the beautiful thing about the community is we're like, totally get it. This journey is rough. Like, that's all right. And if you just like kind of went off the map, people would be like, hey, are you okay? But it wouldn't be like, hey, why aren't you talking to me every day about adoptee stuff or even just whatever, like engaging with
I'm
me
still
further.
like doing the podcast every week.
I mean, you're talking about it every week already.
Exactly. Exactly. But that's another, then that's another engagement with the community itself, whether or not you directly interface with anyone, you are here sharing your thoughts, being in community with us, and we're part of the community. So by extension, you are always engaging with the community.
Yeah, I think the double-edged sword of it though is that like Instagram and maybe not Clubhouse actually because of how it is, but Instagram especially and Twitter like are inherently content creation platforms. Like you are creating content that is to be shared, whether that's like you're sharing a minute from your personal life or you're sharing a minute for, you know, whatever. And so like, I don't know, in the same way that I create this podcast and we create this podcast together, and like that is content to be shared, and like we begin that. Like I think it's hard to like, because of how Instagram is, especially to say like, oh, somebody posted this and I'm going to comment on it or send it to someone and we start a conversation, like, but it's always like kind of content driven. So I think we can sometimes mistake friendship with just like chatting about content that we create and like being like co-creators in a space and in a genre versus for like real relationship. Like,
I get that.
You know what I mean? Not to discount that real relationship can happen on those platforms, but like it's kind of a different thing when I think specifically when you talk over Instagram versus in a phone call or on text message or even an email. You know what I mean? And so like I think that like that's part of what I wrestle with is like because of the platform itself, it like puts me in a different headspace. And I think it puts all of us in a different headspace rather than something just like a text message where I think you can just pop in and be like, yo, I haven't heard like heard from you in a minute. How are you doing? You know, those kinds of things. Like for me, like there's less, I don't feel like, you know, the people that I talk to, like from back in Springfield or whatever, like I have no idea if they listen to the show. I also have no expectation that they listen to the show, you know, but like something about Instagram, like sometimes I'm like, did you see my latest Instagram post or, you know, whatever, like, you know what I mean? Like I
totally
actually talked
that.
about, you know what I mean? So I there is kind of that, like the shadow of content creation. And especially in a month like right now, where so many people are creating so much content and there is so much labor to do that. And then you just kind of like hang out in the comment section or whatever, like that's a hard place to be. So like kind of that detangling and understanding our roles and how we think about relationships and friendships and content creation and whatever. Like that's some of the weirdness that's going on in my brain.
Yeah, I totally get that, and I don't disagree that those platforms are built specifically around the creation point. But I also think that if all you were to do was come on and never create your own content, but just engage in comments or DMs or whatever, I think that's okay too in terms of being in community, because I think if people are putting stock into like, you're commenting on my stuff, you're reading my trauma or whatever, now you have to post it. It should never be transactional like that. And I think that would be a huge problem. I don't see that a lot, but I do see that I have seen that with some people. I've had conversations with people about that before. And, I think, again, that's why I was saying that before about the beauty of the community is, I think we kind of call that out pretty quickly. And I do think sometimes it can go in not great directions. I think it can be super problematic, and where everybody's wrong, nobody wins, and it's just harm. It's just harmful. We're just perpetuating harm. But I think for the most part, if someone were to just come on and, I think people do go, oh, well, this person's never posted, so maybe it's like a bot or something. But when you're engaging in comments, when you are interacting in a little bit, it isn't the same. It's not like a real friendship. Yeah, it's not like a real friendship per se, or at least at that point. But it is still, you are still giving a piece of yourself up to engage even in a comment or a DM. But again, it shouldn't ever be transactional. Those things, the way that we engage with each other should never be considered transactional.
Yeah, if you don't like my stuff, then don't like it. I'm not going to take offense to it.
I actually send it straight to Patrick and rake you through the mud. You see this fool?
He's like, I'm just waiting for him to fall down to fourth.
Like it. Yeah, fourth.
Bump you down even further. I'll never see yours.
So the other thing, about the content creation, and I think everyone creates content at their own speed too. Some people, like I said, this month has been, I don't think I'm going to post every day. I started to do it, and then, sure, I've done it, but I'm not going to put the pressure on myself to do it every day. And I don't think anyone should put pressure on themselves to post content, for anyone else other than themselves in a way at times. So for you to be writing a song right now, because you're inspired by what you've been reading or just what you're feeling, that right there, your talent, number one, in creating a song that one song should be your content for the next 5 years. You don't need, it's so good. You don't need to create a song every day. You don't need to create a song every month. I don't care. Your last songs have been amazing. You really, both my wife and I always say it, whenever you do something like sing, just, I don't know, your music creation has been so great that I think you don't need to, whenever you get it out, that's going to be good. It's like, you're like the Quentin Tarantino of Korean songs. You only have a certain amount that you say you're going to release, and then that's it.
The Quentin Tarantino of Korean songs.
That was a hot take from the maybe or maybe not person. That I once called a kimchi pancake.
Yeah. We still got to look for that one.
That's
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
That's funny.
So yes, keep it up. Do it at your speed, and I look forward to your next song.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. I was just thinking, like, can you have Jung without being friends? But like, you totally can if you can have Jung with like a place. But it's just been interesting. Because like, obviously, a place can't be friends with you, but maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe it means
it's just like continual experiences. That's why if you're engaging with somebody in the comments over and over again, like you can develop a sort of
absolutely. So it is one of those things, and I regularly think about that. And you're right. I think the community has been nothing but gracious towards me, and I'm just always excited to engage with them when I have the minute to do so. And I don't know. I guess I feel bad like not doing it more, because I just feel like that's part of like supporting. Is just like being there for people and like liking their stuff and commenting and being like, thank you so much for sharing this, even something that simple. And like sometimes I literally only have the emotional capacity to just double tap and to move on. Like I read it, I don't have more words, or it's the morning, so I'm tired, or whatever. So I don't know. It's a whole so it's a whole thing, and I liken this month to the turkey trot in my mind. I'm not a runner by any stretch. I'm not very active, but one time I did the turkey trot, and the energy around it was so like invigorating and exciting and whatever. And I was like, yeah, I could run forever, you know. But like a turkey trot's super short, you know, and it was like a 5K, right?
That's 3.2 miles.
Depends.
So
It
Yeah.
depends.
depending
All right,
on
so I
what
did a
your
5K.
definition of short is.
Okay, sure. Well, compared to like proper runners, you know,
Okay,
but
that
like,
makes sense.
yeah. So turkey trot, 5K turkey trot, like it's just really exciting, and there's lots of energy at the starting line and whatever. Really, really fun. The harder thing is to do 5Ks regularly when you don't have the energy, when you don't have the crowd, when you don't have that kind of thing. So I don't know, like, but I think there's also pressure right in the turkey trot, like stay with the crowd and don't get run over, don't like slow the people down, you know, whatever. So like I think that there can be a lot of pressure around this month to create maybe for the first
definitely.
time or you know, and those kind of
Sure.
things. So yeah, it's just it's a
Well, I think the pressure ratchets up for people who have participated a bunch. You know, like I can't imagine like when you're in your 10th year, and especially for like people. I mean, some of the people I follow have been doing this for a long time, and they're pumping out a lot of content, and they're part of all these amazing events. Like J-Ron, she's part of like 7 things, I think. Cam too, even though I guess we haven't talked to Cam before, but yeah, it's like that's a level I can't even imagine. I feel like I'm doing too much already. And it's like, you ain't doing nothing.
It's true. You do seem like the Hamilton, and I feel like the Burr of the podcast.
I'm not
you're
watching
just
it.
nonstop, and I'm
Every
like,
time
I'm
I'm
willing to
liking
wait
it.
for it.
Every time I'm liking a
That
post on
probably is.
Instagram, I get to it and I get ready to like it, and then right below it says liked by Patrick in the world, and I go to the next one, liked
Catch
by
up.
Patrick in the world.
Oh, you ain't
So, yeah,
liking
you-
them because I'm liking them?
Maybe that's what the algorithm is doing. Maybe the algorithm is showing me everything that you've liked. But I swear, literally every time I'm getting ready to like something, you've already liked it, so you've beat me to it. So I am in the turkey trot behind Patrick, running toward my Thanksgiving.
It's in that
turkey
tailwind.
meal.
You're like, shake and bake, baby.
Yep, exactly.
I wish I could run as fast as I can like people's posts on Instagram. That'd be great.
I thought you were going to say as fast as you can eat a turkey. 'Cause,
I don't know how fast that is.
I mean, that's my
Sometimes
only
fast.
motivation to do a turkey trot is like eat more turkey, eat more turkey. eat
Yeah,
more
okay, well,
Thanksgiving, so.
we're talking about eating, so
Yeah.
it sounds like the perfect time to segue into the drinking portion of the Janchi Show. We're going to take a break and be right back with the thing that I'm very excited about.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show.
Woo!
Food portion, drink portion, eat portion.
Mukbang
Today,
portion.
it
Mukbang.
is the mukbang.
Probably
No,
pronounced
we're
like
not
muk-
doing that.
mukbang?
Yeah,
Is it mukbang?
I'm not doing that.
Or bang?
Probably. I'm going to look it up. It's definitely not bang. That sounds
Yeah, I know that's the
That sounded racist.
that's the southern in me.
We've canceled ourselves.
Yeah, it's okay. We pronounce things wrong, and that's
Where's
that's part of our discovery, right? So
Not if we're
we
doing it
are.
intentionally.
I'm going to pronounce this wrong, so watch this. We are drinking a fermented rice punch called Sikhye.
I don't know.
Shike.
I can't read the
Shike.
Hangul.
Sikhye.
Also,
Shike.
it's
I don't know.
mukbang.
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 Yeah. So I don't know why that's spelled. I guess that kind of makes sense with the U, but whatever. Mukbang.
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 Well, this
Hanbok.
is a fermented rice punch, and I have only had it at a Korean restaurant at the end of my meal, and it was in a little, cup, and they gave it to us like a dessert / after dinner drink. So
Did we try this with somebody? A different kind of this?
No, we tried the cinnamon
the
thing.
cinnamon punch was
okay.
the other one we tried.
with Joy. Right?
Joy, and so I think she had actually commented about this one.
Yeah, I think she did.
but-
Now that you said that.
Yeah, so
Shike?
I'm happy
Is that
that
what
I
it's called?
found it, and now we get to try it. And
Wait, how do you pronounce it again?
Shike.
Sikhye.
Shike.
yay,
Sikhye.
Yeah, yay.
Yeah. Hey.
Sikhye.
Like hey-o.
Hey-o.
But fermented rice. It's got sugar. It's got rice. It's got ginger.
It has malt
It's got
in it,
barley.
apparently?
Yeah, Marley.
It's got
Bob Marley.
Barley,
No, it's
Marley,
got barley.
Charlie?
Malt barley. That's hard to
Chris
say.
Farley.
It's got
got
Chris
everything.
Farley barley.
Is this like a shake before you open thing?
I don't know. I'm a little
That's what
worried to shake it
everything
just in
is.
case it explodes.
Everything in
so-
Korea is you shake it first.
I'm just
Really?
going to
Like it's
turn
oat
it
milk.
gently
I'm just gonna
upside
turn
down.
it. Yeah. I
Oh
was
yeah,
gonna
because
say.
remember I shook that one of them up, the McCool, and
Oh yeah.
it exploded. Or no, it wasn't
Oh,
that one.
yeah,
it was
the
something
barley
else. I don't
soda,
know if it was
McCool,
that.
yeah. I'm so excited for this.
So I know you can drink this cold, you can drink it hot, you can drink it frozen.
Ooh, and I don't like the smell. It does smell like
I
grain.
think this is the thing that I was thinking of, but in a can, it's not as good.
I think she said that. Didn't Joy say it wasn't as good in the can?
It's better homemade, and there are a few recipes online that I've seen, but it tastes similar to what I was expecting it to taste like.
It doesn't taste.
It tastes like the McColl.
Yeah, it does. It does taste
really?
like that.
Probably because of the barley. Because McColl is like barley soda, right?
I was gonna say
but
it tastes like
malted
grain
barley
water.
in it.
Like
but it's sweeter. But it's a sweeter, like rice, almost like a rice pudding punch.
Definitely some sweet in there.
Yeah.
Probably the
It's
fructo.
kind of smooth.
The fructo oligosaccharide.
I got a chunk of something in mine. I don't know what that was, but maybe it's rice.
Oligosaccharide.
Okay, Mr. I can pronounce large words with more than 13 letters.
Oh, steviol glycoside. That's fun. So maybe some stevia type stuff in it.
So I read also that if you look on the little picture of the can there's rice in it, and then there's two other things.
Yeah, what is that?
That is pine nuts and jujube, which is like
Interesting.
like a little mini date berry kind of thing.
It almost looks like somebody laying down, like swimming.
In the
yeah,
punch.
in there. The little jujubes are on the feet.
Okay. It's like sunbathing and the rice punch.
Okay, I'm getting rice in mine now. I don't know if I stirred it too much, but
you're getting rice
some
in
chunks.
That?
I'm chunks.
pretty sure there's like little bits.
There's little chunks.
Like, rice kernels.
Okay, I was not ready for that. Glad you warned me, because now I'll be known to look for it.
I
mean, that's like it's probably not a lot, but yeah, I mean that's how it's made, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Feel like it's just smooth liquid, but now that I know
it's kind of like
rice grains,
it's the same as like when you make a pour over coffee and like you get grounds, like so you never really finish the last cup because like grounds are just like a hazard of this brewing method. So I think that rice kernels are just
that's why I don't like the pour over.
Oh my gosh, you're ridiculous.
I got like the French press. Because I'm fancy.
You still get grounds in that.
I know. I like the drip.
It's the same.
I've got to see what I got to see what I'm drinking, so I'm pouring it in a cup now. Okay. Oh, yep. There's definitely rice. Lots of it.
Okay. There you go.
And not to call it murky, but it is cloudy.
Nice.
You'll never live that down for the entire show.
That's a shirt. That's a t-shirt right there.
It's murky.
Murk water?
It's murky. It's
but no, it is cloudy. It's got like
I gotta go back and listen to that.
Some pieces, and it's kind of like just a cloudy liquid. But
that was back in the days of the multi-camera angle that you were the off-air conversation we had earlier.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
That reminds me, we need to have another off-air conversation.
So I will say it's not as good as what I remember because I'm pretty sure like I had this either at like a traditional Korean restaurant here in Dallas or in Korea, maybe both places. I don't know, but it's just really like good and stands out in my brain as like being something that I was so enamored with, but I never learned the name. So I'm excited to know the name and be able to order it and hopefully try a better version of this. In a can, it's fine, but like I would never settle for the in the can version.
Yeah, it has the in the can taste.
I just go for the exactly.
Yes.
So I would just go for the real thing or the homemade thing or whatever. So, all that to say, this particular product,
I'm not gonna rate it till he tries the real stuff.
I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5. But I'm gonna say though, the actual drink, I'm giving a 5 out of 5. Mm-hmm. So I think that just like shows you the disparity of what I actually think of the drink versus this particular product. It's good, it is fine, but like Patrick, I think it's really unfortunate that this is your first introduction to the drink. Don't let it color the next time you drink it if it's properly made.
Well, I think you said that very well, so I'm just going to verbatim copy everything that KJ just said about the drink and
so
his rating.
I'll just copy and paste what I just said.
Yeah.
And then,
tone it or pitch it down maybe half and then then turn the gain all the way up.
Right. This is going to be annoying. If you don't want to listen to this, you can just like skip ahead 20 seconds.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5, but I'm going to say though, the actual drink, I'm giving a 5 out of 5. So I think that just like shows you the disparity of what I actually think of the drink versus this particular product. It's good, it is fine. But
no, but I definitely agree with all that. I think I believe that the actual real stuff is a 5. Like I do think this tastes pretty good, even coming from a can, but it does carry that can taste and I'm not thrilled about the rice grains being in there. So
I mean, it's definitely easier to interact with when it's like in a cup or a mug.
Yeah,
you know?
and I can see it. I can't
Yeah.
see in here in this dark can. So 3.5 out of 5.
I was all for it, and I agree. I think the original, if you have like a fresh one, is going to be up there too. So I would give it maybe a 4.5. I don't know if I'm going to give it.
That's pretty good.
That's significantly.
If I had a fresh one, yeah, it's. And I don't know.
You're saying
If I had a fresh one,
I thought you were giving the can a 4.5 out of 5.
This is a can. I'm dropping it down to 3. So I'm going to say the can is a 3. Fresh one in a restaurant is going to be a 4.5. I don't like, in my mind, knowing that there's like little pieces of rice in
little floaters
in here.
That's like the most appetizing way to sell
fresh.
that, right?
Like if it was fresh floaters, I could be okay.
Ew, no, that'd be even worse. Fresh floaters. That came out of your mouth, dude.
Man.
So I think this would be a perfect soju chaser. If I mean, dinner chaser, maybe, for sure. But soju, I guarantee this would be good.
I don't know. I don't know if I could chase it with soju.
It might be too sweet, maybe.
Mess up
because of the
but like
sweetness of the
after,
soju.
You don't need
know.
to chase anything with soju. Just drink soju straight.
That's
after
true.
like some
100%.
gogi, I don't know. Yeah, this is just like a nice finisher to the night. Yeah,
I feel like
don't
this
know.
kind of does carry like a dessert wine taste almost.
Yeah.
And yeah, which I do enjoy.
Yeah.
Nice put.
We'll go put it in a snifter and enjoy some Christmas music.
I'll put you in a snifter.
Okay, you kimchi
Snifter.
pancake.
I don't like this.
I don't know
all
where
right,
we're
so
going with this show.
this is Dongwon
Dongwon.
Sikhye. I'm holding it up to the
Sikhye.
camera, even though we're not even recording, so you won't be able to see it. But yeah, if you want to try it yourself and tell us what you have not rated us. I know what you're going to rate us, but tell us what you've rated this product. That would be fantastic. You can tell us your personal rating of this product either by commenting on wherever this episode is posted, or just sending us a DM to @Janchi Show, or sending us an email to janchishow@justlikemedia.com. If you could, please take a moment and rate this podcast. Obviously, 5 out of 5. Easy. Done and done. And we'll take a minute and read it out on the show. Even if that rating is negative, but it has to be a 5 out of 5, and then you just destroy us, and then we will read it out on the show. So that's fine. You can find, if you want to support the show and help us continue to do the show, you can do that at janchishow.com/support. Or if you want to buy some swag, you can do that there too. Yeah. If you want to follow the prolific, and that's the word, right? For when you put out a lot of content, the people who put out a lot of content, you can find Nathan at
And No Walk on Instagram.
Are you still private on that though?
Nope, I am public.
Whoa, he a public
in the
boy.
world. I'm changing it to And No Walk in the World. No,
No walk in the
Hey,
world.
come on. You have to pay me
Only
for that.
running, and I'll change mine to only running in the world.
In the world that I own that now. Copyright.
I don't think you do.
Okay.
All right. Well, where can people find you, Patrick?
They can find me in the world on Instagram at Patrick in the world on Instagram.
Wow.
You're welcome.
And you can find me wherever I want to be found on the internet as at KJ Relke. One thing that I did do for this month is I added my Korean name to my Instagram thing. So that
Nice.
exists there. It's been on Twitter for like forever, but yeah, Instagram, it's there now. So
I like that.
Just to
I
remind
actually
people
bumped mine
in case.
down to the description of my bio, and I put my full name up in my thing. So both of my middle names, which for a long time I was ashamed of, but maybe I'll write about
Okay.
that later this month.
Ooh, yes.
Wow. Stay tuned.
I did
Is
see that.
Do you have anything else?
Tuned.
I don't know how we
Yeah.
end the show anymore, guys.
Nathan, do you have
That's
a
it.
final plug? Is that it?
Final plug? No, because this is coming up next week. No more plugs. Yeah.
Anyways, sorry. Well, hopefully this is all cut out. But until next week, Janchi.
Janchi,
Heyo.
heyo.
Hey.
Keep the party rolling.